Hello, everyone. Give everybody a couple more seconds to join us while I get set up here. How is everybody doing today? Good, I hope.
I'm a
You're
solid medium.
a solid medium. It's the best I could hope for.
While you're getting all your tech parts lined up, can I selfishly promote my accessibility classes?
It's
Because
gonna,
I just did by saying that out loud, but I'd like to put the link in the chat.
it really all depends on what you're willing to offer me to give you that floor time.
Um,
Yeah, just do it. Go ahead, promote yourself. I encourage you to.
I'm just, well,
Please.
I can't resist an opportunity to say accessibility. So
I understand. Go for it.
everyone, I have some trainings. I put the link in the chat that are coming up. Basics class for technology accessibility, a enhancing course accessibility, which is a basics for faculty, and accessible documents by design, and one about sort of social media communications and outreach. So that link that I put in there has all of them listed, and I would love to have you sign up.
Cool. Thank you. That wasn't bad. Thank you. Um, okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Eudora, Tiffany, Jessica, Emily, Meredith, Madison, everybody who I can't see on my screen. Hello to you as well. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to as I like to refer to it as season two, episode one of these digital content strategy presentations. Um, we have a lot going on this year. Eudora and I chatted back over the summer about what to do, what kind of topics we thought you might all find interesting, useful, valuable, and maybe some that you wouldn't even think that you would, that we thought you would. So, this is how we came up with this year's schedule, and we decided to kick it off with a deeper dive into some Siteimprove stuff since we're all Siteimprove users. Or maybe if you're on the call and you're not a Siteimprove user, you might happen to want to be one. So, this might be helpful for you. Um, but so today we're going to kind of, again, kick all this off with valuable information that we don't really cover in training for those of you who've gone through the Site Improve training, which I imagine is most, if not all of you, and look at some of those deeper dive things that I think are valuable for you to be aware of, even if you're not going to use regularly. It's still good to know about these things because you may find instances where they can be very helpful when you're going through your site, when you're trying to fix something, when you're trying to get some information. This might be a quick way to do that. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at some new features that Site Improve announced and released this month, which are kind of cool. And I think I put in the actual description on the page for the session, come for the scrolling, stay for the rage. So you're going to have to wait till the end if you want to learn about the rage clicks, because I saved the best for last. So without further ado, I think most of you have been to these before. You know the housekeeping rules, the drill. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Eudora, if you could just keep an eye on that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Um, you're also welcome to unmute yourself and ask if you would like, in real time. I have no problem with that. Just wait till the end of a segment. I would suggest to make that easier for all of us. So let's go ahead. Let's kick this off. Let's see how it goes. So I thought at first that this might be a good topic, considering, all the reasons that I just said. We're all site improve users. We all are in the system. Let's learn about some new things that aren't covered in training. But then I thought, wouldn't it be cool maybe just to like watch The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown instead? Spend 24 minutes of our afternoon not really thinking about work, maybe watching a video. that we all grew up with. I'm sure everybody has seen this as a classic, my all-time favorite Halloween special. And fun fact, this actually kicked off all Halloween specials to come. So if you've ever watched anything past 1965, I think, Halloween special wise, you can thank Charlie Brown Halloween for that. Or if you are more of a late Gen Xer or millennial, maybe a Garfield Halloween specials up your alley. We can also watch that if you don't want to learn about Siteimprove. I'm also fine with that. This is another favorite of mine I grew up with, loved it. And now that we're waist deep into spooky season, it may make sense. So if you guys want to watch this instead, I'd love to hear it. I'll throw out everything I prepared for this presentation. Finally, if neither of those are up your alley, but you're still not convinced that Siteimprove is the right session and you don't know why you're here, you just felt you had to be, perhaps we can look at this map for just a second or two, okay? Everybody just take a look at this for a second. This is the most popular Halloween candy as of 2025, August 2025 in every state. Just let this sink in for a second. Look at North Carolina. Okay, I'm not from North Carolina. I'm from New York. I'm okay with what New York is having up there. Right? I'm cool with that. But does anybody else have a problem with North Carolina? Do people do do milk duds still exist outside of maybe Walmart selling them? I'm not sure. But I see this and I'm left scratching my head and thinking, do 10-year-olds who go trick-or-treating or 40-year-olds, if that's the case, who also trick-or-treat, want milk duds in their Halloween buckets? I don't know. Does anybody else have a problem with this? Am I the only one that looks at this map and thinks, what is going on in North Carolina? I don't know. So let this sink in. Personally, I'm moving to California. Kit Kat's my favorite candy next to Reese's. So I'd be pretty content living on the West Coast. And that's I think that's where we need to be. That's where I need to be. All of you can choose based on your preferred candy where you want to go, but this is it, folks. This is real news. This is what real journalists are reporting on this year. This is the only news you should care about in 2025. You're welcome. All right, let's move on. So, as I mentioned, we have had a plethora of presentations and content, training sessions and workshops that Eudora and I both hosted. And Eudora has done a bunch on digital accessibility, the great PDF makeover, extreme PDF makeover, excuse me, is both extreme and great. So, some of that is not reflected here. What is everything that we've done since last fall. New content, really focused on digital content strategy specifically and some Siteimprove stuff thrown in there. So you can see there's a treasure trove of content out here for you to view, to watch, to go back to. And we may revisit some of this in the future if there's enough demand for it and enough time passes where we feel like it's worth revisiting. So we did a lot last year, and looking ahead to this upcoming season, this is where we are right now with the Siteimprove Core Wins SEO tracking bonus content not mentioned here. But we also have a lot of good presentations coming up. I know Eudora is working tirelessly on the PDFs and the accessibility topic for this year. And there's been quite a bit of interest in the AI topics, which if you're not sure if you should attend, I would definitely say this is the first time I think at Wake we're talking about AI and content and how it affects your websites, both from a searchability perspective and also from how you actually present it to be found in an AI ecosystem now. So um, all of these are good topics, but I would definitely encourage you to check them out, attend if you have time. That's me putting my plug in for myself and for Eudora. These are all going to be great conversations that we're going to have and touch on things that have just not really been discussed with the larger group at Wake Forest. So um, we hope to see you there. So a lot of good stuff. Getting on to today. Here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about core wins. We're going to talk about the SEO Enterprise module, which is new for all of us. We just purchased that in July. Some of you may have already seen it. We're going to talk about content search policy. This has come up over the last year or two, so I thought it was time to talk about it. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about session replays and struggle detection. Again, these are new to Siteimprove as of the first week of October, so as new, almost as new as you can get. They're still working out some of the kinks and they're trying to figure stuff out. So that's why we haven't fully released these features to everybody yet, because we want to make sure that all the bugs have been worked out and it's ready to go. So I'm vetting stuff on our end and Siteimprove's doing stuff. But I thought this was a good opportunity to introduce you to these, as they are going to probably be features that will be available to all of us. And then you can kind of decide whether or not you feel like they're going to help you with how you look at content and how you get information. So struggle detection, again, is the one that I think a lot of people have found the most interesting. And, I think it's going to probably help you figure out where your content problems are the most. So not broken links, not necessarily misspellings, but where actual users are struggling on your site. So that's going to be the capstone of the session today, as we're going to talk about those two things. All right, so let's talk about each of these really briefly, and then we're going to dive into Siteimprove. And if you are visual learners and want to watch, you can do that. You can also, if you have two screens, want to tag along on your own site and see what's going on, you can also do that. But let's talk about each of these in a little bit of detail so you understand what they are and how and why they're important. Okay. So core wins. These help you focus on outcomes that users care about the most. Okay, so it looks at your quality assurance module, it looks at your accessibility module, and it looks at now the SEO module. And it looks for what's going on your site based on what reports are being generated in those three modules. And it's saying, hey, these are going to be the most important issues for you to fix to have a better website, right? So you can go in and fix your broken links and you can fix your misspellings, right, in the quality assurance module. Those are easy wins, right? You easily can see those when you log into Siteimprove and you have your quality assurance dashboard running. You know exactly what you need to do. Some of the more hidden issues that we don't always look for are those in the accessibility modules and in the now SEO module. And I think it's because we're not always aware of what we need to be thinking about, right? Like Idar has gone into great length about explaining how and what to look for in the accessibility module, but maybe it's a few extra steps than you have time to take. Same is true for the SEO module. This kind of summarizes stuff in one place so you can look at everything. So we're going to go into that. And you'll be able to see issues that happen on new pages, on the most visited pages of your site, high ranking pages. And there's even one for template issues which don't pertain to you because that's more of like a developer section, but it's there. And I just wanted to address it so you know that it doesn't really pertain to you, so you can ignore it so you don't have to wonder what it is. So that's core wins. SEO Enterprise module, right? So this is the analytics and intelligence feature. And to quote what Siteimprove has on their site, provides the deep competitive intelligence and performance data you need to uncover hidden opportunities, report on the impact of your SEO efforts, and protect your organic traffic. And if that's not a bunch of marketing jargon from a company that does SEO, I don't know what is. But basically, in layman's terms, it looks at your SEO's performance and tells you, here's what's going on. Here are some issues that you need to address. And here are some recommendations to make it better. That's basically what this module does. And a whole lot more, but that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to look at issues and recommendations. We're going to look at keyword discovery, and we're going to look at the Google Search Console and search engine analytics. As I alluded to before with the search policy, and this being kind of long overdue to talk about, there's one thing in here that we're going to address, and that is a find and search and look for content on your site where you don't have to go to Google search and type in your site name, colon this, colon that. Siteimprove will do all that work for you. It will search for any type of content on your site. Or if you have multiple sites, it will look for it across all of those sites in one click. So you don't have to take the time to have to look for things individually. Like it can be a pain. I know some of you who already come to me, ask me, hey, can you do a search for this word across wfu.edu? And we still might have to do that if you're looking for something that is across our entire network. But if you're looking for a word, a phrase, a link, any kind of content, a media file, and you just want to look for it on sites that you have access to, this is the way to go. So again, this is a great tool. We should have covered in training, and perhaps we will in the future, but I wanted to get this out there now. So session replays. Session replays can track and record how a user interacts with your website. Basically, it takes a video recording of a user's interaction with a page and it shows exactly what they're doing without collecting any of the personal identifiable information, right? It's completely anonymous. So you're not collecting anything you shouldn't be collecting. You're just collecting the mouse recording, the scrolls, the clicks, all of that. This is what is still being worked out and it hasn't been released to all of us yet. So um, hold tight if you're interested in this. I will show you how it works. And then if you are willing or interested in being a early adopter to this, a test user, if you will, you are welcome to reach out to me and let me know that. And then when it's ready to be tested by more than just me, I will be happy to consider you for that program. So cool stuff. You'll see how it works. And then finally, struggle detection. This is the cool stuff that I was talking about. So this monitors user patterns and behaviors, and it tries to detect where users are struggling on your site. So if they're trying to click something that's not clickable, if they're scrolling really fast up and down, that could mean they're looking for something they can't find it. So we're going to talk about both of these. And hopefully, this will be something that you all find helpful as you look at the content on your site. All right, before we get into Siteimprove, any questions leading up to the actual demonstration of all of this? Or anything in the chat?
Nope.
Is it all about Halloween candy?
It's all about Halloween
Well,
candy.
we
Yeah.
should have stopped 7 minutes ago then, folks. I am sorry. We should just turn on Charlie Brown at this point. Yeah. We can
No,
get this later.
they're paying attention. They're
I
not
I
they're not zoning out. They're paying
I
attention.
know they are. I know they are. But now that I planted the Charlie Brown Halloween special, the Great Pumpkin, the seed has been planted. So now that's probably what they're thinking about. All right, let's divert back to this. So core wins. When you log into Siteimprove, under your dashboard select menu here on the left, you will see core wins. Many of you have probably seen this, never clicked on it, didn't know what it was. Once you click on it, have your site selected if you have more than one. If you only have one site, you should just get to this right away. Um, you're going to see the four categories that I mentioned in the power or in the slides, right? So here's your fix issues rows. Up above here, I'm not going to go too much into drive conversion, but improve website health, again, focuses on your issues. It focuses on the user experience and not just can I make a better design or can I make this better organize my content, but it focuses on things that are preventing somebody from doing something, right? It's a barrier, it's a frustration, it's a pain point. So these are things that you do want to keep in mind that they need to be addressed, whether you do them through core wins or through each separate module, through that quality assurance, accessibility, or SEO module is up to you. But this kind of floats the more important stuff to the top so you can see it faster. Okay. And then again, I won't get into drive conversions, but if you have funnels set up on your site, which probably a lot of you don't, but if you are interested in that, this will help you get people from one place to another on your site and give you recommendations on how to get people from point A to point B faster and more effectively. So that's another conversation for another day. Let's just focus on improved website health. So if you have any new pages, and new pages would be defined as anything that was added within the last crawl or two of Siteimprove, so in the last week or two, relatively new. Most of us won't. However, if it's been a while since you've logged into Siteimprove and you've looked at any issues on any of your pages, they may show up here, depending on when those pages were checked for issues, right? Fix issues on most visited pages and fix issues on high ranking pages. These are probably the two that I would recommend that you look at first. Okay. Most visited is exactly what it sounds like. It's the pages that are getting the most traffic. High ranking pages are ones that Siteimprove looks at as important. So these could be your homepage, these could be landing pages. Um, they look at the content and say, hey, this looks like an important page. Um, and this also is based on SEO. Okay. So visited is more on page views and visits. High ranking pages is based on search results and what people are getting to from search engines like Google and so forth. So let's take a quick look and see what this looks like. So if I clicked on details over here for fixed issues on most visited pages, um, what I'm going to see is a table here with pages that have any issue, be 1 to 100 or more, okay? So any pages that have issues, it's going to show me how many page views that page has had, okay? Within the last whatever time frame you have set in your marketing analytics. So if it's 30 days, if it's 6 months, it's to a year. I think by default, it just goes back to like 30 days. So if you don't have a time frame set, I'm pretty sure that's what it defaults to. It's going to show you your accessibility issues with a number below that. That's how many accessibility issues have been found on that page, how many quality assurance issues, and then how many SEO issues. So if I'm going to look at the second one, just as an example. There's been almost 31,000 page views, and I have two accessibility, four um, quality assurance, and five SEO. So I have 11 issues combined, right? So what this is helping me do is look at all of those issues at a glance versus going to each module individually and trying to figure out what my issues are, and more importantly, what I should focus on first, right? So if you have broken links, it will show up in here, probably. If you have misspellings, right? So the things that you're already looking for will be flagged. So once you decide on what page you want to look at, you click on the arrow under View Issues. And what this does is it opens up another tab. And now you can see your accessibility, your quality assurance, and your SEO issues. And then you can decide what you want to address first, right? Um, so accessibility, and Eudora, feel free to chime in here since this is kind of your space. Um, there may be things in here that you have the ability to change and make better. There may be things that are outside the content realm, that you see in your accessibility module that you're not able to do anything with, okay? But this will at least give you an idea of what issues for accessibility are presenting themselves. Quality assurance is probably the most common, right? As that is your most common dashboard. That's where we start most of the time. So you can look at the issues that are found here and decide, are any of these issues to your site? Okay. Siteimprove isn't going to know if you should have some long sentences, no long sentences, all long sentences, right? It's not going to know that. It's following an algorithm that it's programmed to do. And it's saying, hey, if we see you having a lot of long sentences, that could be an issue. But for your page that it's flagged on, it may not be. So you could technically ignore that. But if you see something that says, pages that are difficult to read, you might want to take a look at that and be like, all right, what is it talking about? So to do that, you would click on the icon over here on the right that's under Go to Issue. It will open up a new tab and it will show you over here on the left, um, under readability, which is a quality assurance thing, that we're using, polysyllabic words 100, unique long sentences 33, right, on this page. So you click on what you want to look at, and it's going to flag different things, right? So what it's basically doing is showing you all the struggle points. So we're not even in struggle detection yet, but we're still talking about some struggle issues that users may be having on your pages, right? So it's looking at all of this and saying, hey, is there a better way to phrase this? Can you make this two sentences instead of one long sentence? Um, but it gives you that opportunity to quickly go to the things that are going to impact your users the most instead of you going to that module, let's say under quality assurance and then readability. And then you're looking at a long list of things and you're wondering, oh, what should I start with? What's important? What's not? What can wait? What's having the greatest negative impact on people visiting my site? This helps you clarify that. Okay, so core wins will help you figure out where you should start. And it also, again, gives you that bird's eye view of all the things that are happening so you can make the decision on whether or not you need to take action on anything, right? So you would go through each of these. Again, it's the same process. When you get to an issue on the page, you would go to the issue. And just like you would have fixed a broken link or a misspelling, you can see where the issue is when you go to that left. And then, it's going to say, hey, find out if this is an issue for some of these. So it will review your page to see, okay, if it checks these boxes, maybe it is an issue, but if it doesn't, maybe it's not. Um, but then, just like, again, as I said, with that broken link, you would go up to the CMS, open it, and then you would fix it if you want to take care of that in the moment. If you don't want to take care of that in the moment, um, you don't have to. These will always be here for you, and you can always export these. So if it's not your problem to fix, it's somebody else's problem to fix, which I love passing the buck. I can never get away with it, but I love it. You can export this to a PDF and send it to whoever's problem it should be to fix. If it is your problem, or if it is your responsibility, it's in your jurisdiction. Um, you can just dive right in. These aren't going to go away. They'll be here when you get back. So that's how core wins. I mean, there's not much more to say about the step-by-step process. It's taking what you've already seen in different modules and putting it in a nice tight overview section for you to see at a glance and help you prioritize what you should work on first once you've fixed your broken links, once you've fixed your misspellings, once you've done the other things that you came there to do. And if you have a couple extra minutes, knocking one or two of these out probably is a good idea. All right, so that's core wins. Any questions?
Not so far.
All right,
Scott had a challenge getting in, but somebody told him to clear his cache, and I think he's in now.
all
Scott,
right.
are you in?
Are you in, Scott?
He is.
He
Yeah, he
is.
says yep in
Awesome.
the chat. Thank you.
Perfect.
Hey Pete, I have a question real quick.
Sure.
This is Grace. So while we're trying to resolve some of these issues that we see on our website, Siteimprove, and we're having some difficulties or problems, what would be the best way to reach out for assistance?
Submit the Siteimprove help form on the UMC website. That's the quickest way it will get to me. If it is a very niche issue, like it's just what you think might be a really easy question to answer, but you don't want to submit a form, you can email me directly. But for anything that you're really not sure of and you think it could be a problem with Siteimprove or just something you're not doing right, the web form is the way to go for that. That way I can get it directly and we can have a log of what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right, let's move on to SEO Enterprise. So again, new, you might have seen this. One thing I will say right out of the gate, what you see on my screen is a lot more than what you see on your screen. And that is done with intent, just because we are still testing things. UMC purchased this to do other things with the capital campaign and SEO ads and Google ads and paid marketing and a whole bunch of things. So there are things out there that we're using it for that aren't going to apply to everybody. However, the things that you can do with it right now should be available to you right now. Um, if there's something that I go over today and you go into that SEO enterprise module and you go to where I go, but you don't see that link, let me know. Because we recently changed permissions for everybody to make it easier to manage on the back end. So something may have slipped through the cracks. I hope it didn't. But again, if you see something missing, give me a shout after the meeting. Just send me an email and I'll take a look at it for you. All right. So SEO enterprise. As I already explained, this helps you track the SEO on your website or websites. It's going to look at a number of different things. It's going to look at issues. It's going to give you some recommendations. It's going to look at what keywords users are putting in search engines to get to pages on your site. This was something that I always wanted because Google Analytics never did a good job of this. I don't know if any of you have used GA4 and have had that problem, or the legacy Google Universal Analytics, but they've always done a terrible job, I think, of that. So this kind of solves that, and it relies on the Google search engine, Google custom search, I should say, that we use through Google. So all that data is still coming in through Google, not Siteimprove. So if you're wondering, we're basically just connecting Siteimprove to our Google Search Console for each of your sites, but we're getting specific data for each of our subdomains. So let's dive in. So a couple things here that I want to go over. So let's go and start with issues and recommendations. So over here on the left, you should see optimize, and then under that, you should see issues and recommendations. So this is going to kind of give you an overview of how your SEO is doing. And a lot of this up here may be Greek, Latin to you. You don't understand what it means. And I'm going to tell you that's okay. You don't need to understand what all of this means right now. Okay. We're not going to necessarily talk about this. For the more tech savvy folks, you are welcome to go in here and look at stuff. Just for the purposes of today, I want to get through some of the higher level stuff so we all have a better understanding of how it works versus getting in the weeds of what it does. Um, so as you get down, you can see you have an issues tab, a focus issues, a pages, and resolved issues. And beneath that, you have SEO issues that have the highest impact. So by fixing these will affect the most users. Quick wins, these are things that could be could be fixed fairly quickly, depending on where it falls into things and if you have permission to fix it. And then number of occurrences is the frequency in which that issue appears throughout your site. Okay. I recommend if you're going to look at this, start with the highest impact, just because thinking about how your users use your site first is more important than what you can fix easily in this instance. As you get things under control, I would then reverse that and say start with the quick wins, because you can probably clean up a lot faster that way and get a lot of those issues done without having to worry about how many people they're affecting. So, again, that would take some time to do for some of you, depending on how many issues would show up on your site, but it would be my recommendation to take that approach. So the first thing you want to look at here is what you have access to fix, okay? Just like with accessibility, you may not have access to fix a lot of these things. So the first thing I would do is go up here to this category drop down and select content. These are the issues you want to look at, okay? You can also look at user experience because that plays into content, but it may also play into our theme and areas that you don't have access to. So you would look at your issues, right? And this gives you recommendations, as you get into it. But if I looked at, difficult to read pages, for example, or let's say low content word count, it's going to tell me how many occurrences there are, right? So it's going to show me all the pages that Siteimprove said, hey, you don't have enough words on this page for search engines to really pick up on it. So what may be happening is search engines are placing it so far down in the search results list that people aren't seeing it. The more words you have, the more relevant words to your content and to what somebody is searching for, that keyword, that key phrase, those search terms. the better you're going to probably be in those search results. Okay. So you can see what pages they're on. And then if I clicked on it, it's going to give me some more information about the issue. And then below here, you can see, even further information. So you would go through the steps to figure out, okay, is this really an SEO issue, or is this how you think your page should really be? And some of this really comes down to human eyes on this, looking at it with actual interest, not relying on a machine to tell you it's good or it's bad, right? When we're talking about readability, especially, we need to use our discretion on what is passable and what's not for who we target this content for, right? Siteimprove's not going to know that. They have, a baseline set at the 8th grade reading level, and that's what they're going to say is where you should be. And I talk about this in my readability presentation, but I'm here to tell you when you're looking at SEO and you're looking at readability, use your best judgment based on the content that you have for that page. Don't try to rework something completely because Siteimprove told you to, right? It's going to give you suggestions and recommendations that maybe you should think about it. But I like to think of it more as it's suggesting that I look at the content. It's a reminder for me to keep checking on it to say, okay, is this as good as it can be? And if it's not, then I can thank Siteimprove for flagging it. If it's good, I'll tell Siteimprove to shut up for a little bit. I'm going to ignore it. But it's good to have out there um, just so you know what's going on for your SEO and how people are finding those pages. Okay. So in general, issues and recommendations, it's going to show you what you can and can't do. In the category, always select content. Don't worry about points, but go through these and see what you can actually fix and start with highest impact. All right, if we scroll down on the left, the next one is research. So there should be 3 selections under there for everybody. Keyword discovery, Google Search Console, and search engine analytics, I believe. So I'm going to run through these pretty quick because everybody's site's going to have different words. So I'm just going to tell you what these are, and then you are welcome to explore these, when you have time. So keyword discovery, these are keywords or key phrases that are being typed into search engines the most. And you can see by search volume, what ranks high, what ranks low, and then what pages somebody ends up at when they use that search word, when they go to your site. Now, keep in mind, somebody could search for tuition at Wake Forest University and have 10 different page results show up on page 1 of Google. Okay. So that first page isn't necessarily the first result, and it's certainly not the only result, but it's the page that somebody gets to on your site when they click on that result link using that key phrase or that search term. Okay. That's what you need to know about this. So this will show you what people are what phrases, what search terms people are using, and what pages on your site that they decide to click on from those search results that they land on. Okay. So this gives you an idea of what people are searching for. Okay. And if we go down here to Google Search Console, this is going to give you a kind of a different perspective of that same information, just in a different way. So this is going to show you clicks, impressions, click-through rate, average position, which that last one I wouldn't worry too much about. So it's going to show you clicks. So how many people actually clicked on the search result link in Google or wherever to get to your page. Okay, so that's how many people are actually engaged. Impressions, how many times your page showed up in a search result that somebody scanned and saw. Okay, so it's how many times your page appeared in search results when they used that key phrase. And click-through rate is, I think, the whole from start to finish. So they click, they get to your page, and they do something. Down here, so these are, again, kind of like what we saw on the other screen, but now these are organized a little bit differently because we're looking at clicks and impressions, click-through rate. These are the words or the phrases, the search terms that users have used to get to pages on your site based on clicks, impressions. I would just focus on clicks and impressions, probably clicks the most. But also, again, think about impressions because as you can see from the tooltip, the number of times your pages appear in Google search results for a user. Okay. This is good. If you have a lot of important content on your site, if you have things that you want to make sure is being found in search engines, and we're going to talk about how AI and generative searches are influencing SEO because it's a big deal now. This is a great place to start. Look at what phrases they're using. Look at what search terms people are actually using and clicking on to get to content on your site. Otherwise, you're flying blind, folks. If you don't know how people are searching for you, because that's how most users find content on our sites now, they don't go to our homepage and click links as much as they did a couple years ago. If you don't know what they're using, you're flying blind. So definitely look through these and see, what matters to you. Does this make sense? Are there certain keywords in here that you think should be, but are not? Okay. And I'm happy
Hey,
to
Pete,
talk more about this later.
hey, Pete, can I interrupt with a question? I just did, so
You
sorry.
did. Well, yeah,
Uh,
that's your one
um,
question.
Madison has a question in the chat. She says that gets lost in some of the jargon. I also feel that way sometimes.
Mhm.
That Madison tries to focus on the most critical items such as incorrect spellings, broken links, etc. What is the best method to review, Siteimprove, and find items that are hurting my overall score that isn't related to QA?
The core wins is probably the way to go because it looks at your accessibility and SEO. So those three modules, QA, accessibility, SEO, those are all your health. That is everything that negatively impacts a user's experience on your site. It prevents them from doing something or it makes them work harder to get somewhere. So if you looked at those core wins and you looked at accessibility and SEO, once you have your QA stuff taken care of, um, that's where you want to focus your attention, in my opinion, because if you leave those issues out there hanging for too long, you're going to not only probably deter those users who already experienced them from coming back or doing something the way that they're most comfortable with, but you're going to deter future users from doing it who haven't done this yet. And given that prospective students and families are a high population for all of us, not just admissions and enrollment sites, um, definitely take care of those issues because you have new people coming in all the time that you're not even marketing your content to necessarily, or you don't think you are. So I would definitely focus on those. And Madison, if you want to learn more, reach out to me. Happy to walk through the stuff with you. Okay, search engine analytics. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I want to get to the other two-ish, 2.5 sections before time. But this will give you an idea of how many visits your pages have had based on search results, how many page views, the average time somebody spent on your site. So all of this data here is based on those who have used search engines to get to content on your site. Okay. There's no action you have to take on this page, but it is definitely worth looking at from time to time to see what's going on and make sure that you know you're you at least are aware and cognitive of how people are searching for and then getting to your site. So this is more into the marketing analytics side, but SEO and marketing analytics go hand in hand. All right, let's keep moving because I want to make sure I get all of you out of here on time. So let's talk about policy now. So again, many of you have seen this but never used it. Some of you may have used it. If you ever have a need to search for a phrase, a word, content of any kind, this is how you do it, okay? Super easy. Walk you through it. This is policy overview. It's very misleading because I wouldn't think of searching for words or content on my site and going to policy for that. Maybe some of you would, I don't. But this is how it works. So if you go to my policies over here on the left, it's going to give you a list of all policies that have been created system-wide. So this applies to every site. It was either created by Siteimprove or by us. Um, so it will automatically generate reports for that. But you probably want to create custom searches. So here's how you create a custom search. Okay, assuming that you're starting from scratch and you want to do this for the first time. You go up here to create policy. And then once you do that, you're going to select what you want to search for, whether it's content, media, or documents. I'm going to say content. You type in, well, before you type in, you click add rule to policy. So click the plus sign. Then you're going to search for what kind of content, right? Content match is probably going to be most common. These are going to be words, phrases that are on your site. We need to remove President Wente in June 2026, right? You want to make sure all references to her are off of your site. So you'd want to do a content match for that, right? But you have other options. So let's just select content match. And then under here, you're going to say is exactly starts with, ends with, right? So this is your standard search and replace stuff. So if I wanted to search for, I'm going to search for McGuire because I'm searching the admissions website in this instance. I want to search for any place that Eric McGuire is mentioned. I'm going to type in his name. You can skip add rule to policy below unless you want to add another rule. Typically, that's not common, but you may find yourself wanting to, add another rule and search for multiple things at once. So maybe a name and an email address would be an example of that. And you just want to find them all in the same search results. That's when you would do something like that. You would add a policy name. Usually, I just type in whatever the phrase is, if it's a content search or the term, to make it easy on myself. And then the last thing you want to do is if you have access to multiple sites, you would select all sites or the option here. If you just want to search for that word or that phrase, that content on the site that you're on, you would just, it should be by default. If you only have one site, be selected. But if you have multiple sites, you could choose what sites you wanted to do it on if you wanted to pick from here. Everything else you can leave alone. You don't have to touch it. And when you go to down here, you have create policy. You click on that, and it's going to show you immediately, hopefully, how many times, how many matches there were for that word. And then to click on that or to learn more, you click on the word. You don't go to view details. That's just the policy you set up, right? So that just shows you the steps. But you click on whatever the content you created was or searched for, and then it will show you the page or pages that that content is located on. So that's how you search for stuff. You can export this. So if you need to send this to somebody, you can export this as a spreadsheet, PDF, what have you. If you have words that you search across multiple sites, like I did a Wenti site search earlier, you will see down here the site, but you can also change the site in your policy. So I just did a search on admissions, but if I did a search for Wenti on all sites that I had access to, it would show me site by site how many instances of Wenti there is. I can also do this. I can click the X up here at the top. I believe this will work. Maybe it won't. Oh, down here. So if I go back to Wenti site search, and yeah, so this will then show me all the sites that I have access to. It'll show me how many matches there are for Wenti on each of these sites. So if you have multiple sites, this is a great way to find content easily. If you need to do something across the entire wfu.edu domain, reach out to me because we'll have to do that. And an administrator who has access to all the sites would have to do that. So that's policy. It's real simple. There's not much to say about it other than that. If you have questions, the great news is both core wins and policy have been added to our Siteimprove section of the UMC website with step by step. So if I went too fast today or you just weren't able to follow along like you were hoping to, all of these step-by-step instructions are out there for you to look at as soon as today. All right, last thing, unless there are questions, we'll get into the thing that everybody wants to learn more about.
No questions.
All right, so let's end this on a high note. Session replays. So you will not see this. So this is where you just need to pay attention to my screen for right now. But session replays, and struggle detection will show up under behavior in your marketing analytics. Okay, so when you go to marketing analytics, you go down to behavior, you should see struggle detection, and at some point you might see session replays. So let's start out with session replays, because again, we're going to end with, we're staying for the rage. So right now we're doing some tests because I want to show you what this looks like. What Siteimprove is doing is it's giving you a bunch of information about the recording that it takes, and it's random. Okay, that's another thing to keep in mind. It doesn't take a recording of every single user action. It's random. It's a sample only to give you an idea of where some things may be happening on pages and how users are engaged with them, so you can visually see it and watch it versus taking data and numbers and trying to make sense of them. So my preference with something like this would be to identify a page I want to have some recordings done, take that sample, and then make some decisions based on that data once I have enough samples. Now, right now, I believe it can only be used on your site. You can't target a specific page, but that may change. I'm waiting for an answer on that, but that's why we're testing things. So it'll show you the date the recording was done in. It will expire. Okay, so these recordings do not last forever. That's for privacy reasons. You don't want any kind of data like this out there too long, even if it is anonymous. It'll tell you where the recording came from, so where that user was located. That's probably the most identifiable information that you're going to get. And then the device. So let's just take the second example, right? So I can see that this person from Georgia, was on a page on my site. If I click the play button here, I'm going to see a screen, and this is going to just play for me. So this is how the users actually engaged with this page on their phone. And it's going to show you the session duration. It's going to tell you how many times they clicked on something. It's going to tell you how many times they visited this page, which may not be recorded here, but Siteimprove keeps a record of that. How many actions were taken, which are here. So it tells you all the times somebody did something: a left click, a right click, a scroll, a zoom, a pinch in, pinch out. It's going to show you all of that information here. It's going to show you their cursor trail, where their mouse goes. Or where their finger goes from one point to another, how many struggles they had, right? There's a lot to unpack here. And as you scroll down, it'll give you this timeline of when things happened on this page for this particular user. So you can view page views, clicks, struggles. You can choose what you want to see. You can skip inactivity, which is set by default. So there's a lot to process. The thing with it is, what do you do with this information, right? It's great to watch this. It's great to have it, but what do you do with it? And that's why we're not releasing it. That's another reason we're not releasing it yet, because we want to make sure that we're all using this when we make it available for the same reasons, with purpose, with intent, that it's just not something fun to watch. But we're actually figuring out, okay, if we notice somebody doing this or that, we know this means to do this or that as a result. But it's a really cool thing. And, again, if anybody wants to be a beta tester for this, probably late this year, early next year, reach out to me and we can figure out how that will work. But again, a lot of good stuff in here, especially for pages that are long and you're trying to figure out where people are clicking, like where a specific user might click. Are they going all the way down the page? You can actually visually see this now. You can see how that user is engaged with you. So that's session replays. So the last thing on our list, with 5.5 minutes left, struggle detection. Struggle detection is broken out into two categories: rage clicks and excessive scrolling. So rage clicks are counted by people who rapidly click or tap something. Usually this is when somebody is impatient, or they think that a button is not a button, or they think a button is not a button, and they're trying to click on that to go somewhere, and then they realize it's not taking them anywhere. Maybe they have a slow internet connection. It could be a number of things, but it's when somebody is trying to do something in a very finite space very quickly by click or tapping. Excessive scrolling is when somebody scrolls up and down on your page a lot or within a section. This can indicate that content is being hard to find, or they're having trouble finding certain content. So they're going back and looking again. They're rescanning your content on that page because they thought maybe they skipped over it. Maybe it's not there, but they want to take another look. So excessive scrolling could mean that users are having a hard time finding your content. Rage clicks are they're having a hard time performing an action, getting to something else, doing something else. Okay. So down here, you'll see how many struggle occurrences occurred and how many excessive scrollings occurred in the time frame that you have set up here. Okay. Again, you're in marketing analytics again. So always make sure your time frame is set, or otherwise you're just going to get what Siteimprove defaults to. It will show you struggle occurrences. It will show you how many affected visitors there were that struggled, and then the average page per visit, and a struggle rate, which is the number of visits that have experienced a struggle compared to the total number of visits to your website. So that sounds like math, and we're late in the session, so we're not going to do that math right now, but you are welcome to pull out your calculator and math later if you'd like to. But for the remaining time, let's just look at how this works. So it'll show you the pages that have struggle detection indicated. If you want to learn more about certain thing, like if I went to admissions apply, it's going to open that tab. It's going to almost show me the same data formatted, right? But it's just going to show me information for that page. And it's going to show me how many struggle occurrences there were on the page. Again, visits, average visit, and then your math over here. So you can get a little bit more information by here. But here's the thing with this, and this is what I recommend. This is great to kind of show you that 10,000 foot view of how many people are struggling over your site page, over a page, right? What I recommend with this, if you're interested in using this, what I recommend is pick a page or two that you're unsure about. You think, well, this is a really important page. I'd love to know how users are engaged with it a little bit more. Where are they struggling? Do I have too much content? All of that uncertainty that you might have. Set up a behavior map. Okay, so over here, if you have one set up, which I do for apply, I can click that. It takes me into my behavior map module. And now I have, if you can see down here, struggle map option. So if I click that struggle map on that behavior, I can see clusters of rage clicks. So I can then see where people are raging the most on that page. And that again is usually where people are struggling. Maybe people are trying to click this and they think it's a button. They're not clicking the actual button. They're trying to click up here, right? So this allows me to see where there's been a lot of clicks. Like, for example, under first year students, there are 4 bullet items with links, but these first 3 don't have any. And we can see that there are struggle clicks or rage clicks in the 3 that don't have links. Maybe people are thinking those are links, but they're struggling regardless, or what Siteimprove thinks is a struggle. So you can then identify the exact place on a page or multiple pages where people are struggling through rage clicks. And again, you can see the clusters that way. But it's incredibly helpful to identify that. And then the excessive scrolling, you can get back into the struggle detection. And I think there is a way to view it on the behavior map. I haven't looked at that one in a lot of detail yet, so I don't have an answer to the question, where do you see the excessive scrolling on a behavior map? That is on my list of things to look at. So this will look at any page, again, that people are struggling with. So with seconds to spare, that was a lot, and I wasted a good 3 minutes talking about candy, and I apologize, and this recording will go out there, and people are going to be wondering why it took so long. It was because of the candy. But that being said, these are 5 things that everybody should be aware of with Siteimprove. 4 things that you can do now that we don't talk about in training, or that's new. And at least take a look at them. You don't have to start working in them if you don't have the time. Again, my goal is not to create more work for everybody. It's to have ways for you to work more efficiently and spend less time on doing things the long way, and then using these tools to speed up that process so you're not spending more time, you're actually saving time. And I think by doing this, it may create a little bit more work on the front end once you kind of figure out what's going on and how to analyze it and then what to do with it. But once you have that down, I think it will save you time in the long run, and all of your website visitors will appreciate you for doing that. So that being said, any questions, any comments, thoughts, Eudora, anything in the chat? I know we're at
I
time, so
mean,
I don't want to close
lots
anyone.
of comments, Rage Against the Machine comments, which has been in my playlist lately. Um, could Rage Click just be like poor internet connection?
It could be. Like I said, network speed could play a role into it. Depending on a Wi-Fi connection or a 4G, 5G connection, LTE, whatever, right? We're all impatient and we want to get to things quick. That's the age we live in. So it could very well be. So with any data, whether it's Google, whether it's Siteimprove, something else, take it with a grain of salt. It's not meant to be black and white, right? It's just meant to give you some idea of what's going on and really try it out for yourself, right? If you do anything from looking at this data and you're not sure if it's valuable data, test it yourself. And if you have a similar experience that the data shows, it's probably a problem or it's something you should look at. Other
Ev-
questions, thoughts? Okay.
Everyone says thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, for those of you who are still here, I look forward to seeing you in future sessions. Again, there's a lot of great content coming up for the first time that we're going to talk
Sign up
about.
for my training. Sign up for my training.
Sign up for Eudora's training. She won't stop talking about it unless you do. It's
I
great.
won't.
Do it. It's awesome. And
You
then,
haven't done it, Pete. You didn't sign up.
so we're out of time and we need to go to our next meeting. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And again, I look forward to seeing you again at the next session. Until then, take care of yourselves. Happy Halloween. Go watch some Charlie Brown, and we'll see you next month. All right. Take care, everybody.